Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today at CeeLo, which is a recommendation from one of my community members. Thank you, Mystery. Really appreciate you asking that I cover this here today. Now moving forward, I am not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research. And just know I have years of trading experience, and my goal here is to help you become more of an effective trader so you can trade for a lifetime, not just for one day. Now, if you're interested in what you learn here today, being applied in the real world, I trade frequently throughout the week, and I share my trades with my community members. I currently have about an 80% success rate. So check that out in your own time, of course, because I do have a signal group where I send out signals when I take entry, when I exit the trades, and just overall best practice. So again, check that out in your own time. Also reference my Telegram community, good group of folks there as well. Now, without further ado, let's just go ahead and let's get right to it. Check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at CeeLo. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a baseline on the market. So if you're new to the channel, we always look at that. And also note that I utilize TradingView.com or TradingView desktop application. Fantastic resource for charting. Recommend you check that out. I have a link in the description below for 25, I think it's $25-$30 worth of value and just a kind of a free month to get a feel for it. See if you like it. I recommend the paid version just because you get more than 2 indicators at a time. So check that out in your own time. That being said, we are looking at the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin here first. We're going to look at our SMA lines as well as the fact that we have some support levels here right now in this channel that we're in. Now, bear in mind, price has gone down significantly in the last 24 hours. So at least, I mean, not super significant, of course, for Bitcoin is pretty standard, but it's almost a 5% drop in about 24 hours. Now, what happened is the price rejected off of the resistance about 46,500. It's been testing that multiple times over the past 24 to 48 hours. So you'll see that it kind of got rejected, but now it's holding at about 44,200. So approximately 44,200 is the current support level on the 4-hour chart. If you look at the 1-day chart, it's technically a little bit higher. It's right where the price action is at right now because this trading cycle will close in about 10 minutes. So we're looking at about 44.5, or actually more like 44,400 as a close approximate of what the 1-day chart will close as. So that could be a new support, hard to say, but previous support levels are somewhere in the range of about 43,800. So it's kind of jumping around a little bit depending if you look at the 4-hour chart or the 1-day chart. But simply put here, right now, according to the 4-hour, we've got 2 candlesticks that just closed here at the same level, 44,200. So it's creating a somewhat of a support level. We've also got the SMA line here that is holding as a potential support as well, which is starting to come up. So hopefully that'll drive the price back up again. We lose that support. Next major milestone would be 42,500. That was a previous support level. But also note as well, we have somewhere in the range of about 43,500 as another potential support. So honestly, there's a lot of little channels that could work as support and resistance levels right now, but we are kind of in this upper channel for the moment, and we'll hopefully see a turnaround here soon. All right, but that is kind of the state of what's going on here with Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. Moving on to Ethereum, very similar circumstances here, where we can see the 200 kind of, or correction, the 50 bouncing, or the price bouncing off the 50 and essentially creating that support level. 200 is trailing behind. We've also got a support at about 2,900, which hasn't been tested yet, but that is the major support level for Ethereum right now. And as you can kind of see, we're in kind of open range here. But if you look too as well, I marked this previously, there is a major resistance at about 3,600, and that could be tested eventually soon. Again, we'll just see what happens in the next 24 hours because we are hopefully going to experience a turnaround here. A lot of people are thinking, it's a good shorting market right now. There is a chance that because the simple fact that these have rose up for quite some time, a retracement would make sense. But there's nothing that shows us that we're in a state of exhaustion at this point. So I think honestly we're still okay. Our support levels should hold. Unfortunately, we lost 45,000 as a support on Bitcoin, but we've got a lot of little things in between here and there. So taking a look at CeeLo here, let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-day chart first and kind of just get a quick perspective on the big picture here. Because on the 1-day chart, it kind of tells us, if we're looking at the, you can kind of see the major China candle here. I like to point that out because as we can see, CeeLo was averaging somewhere in the range of just say 350 upwards of about 615. So just say 350 to $6 is the average true range for CeeLo. Again, that's just kind of spitballing, but we're at like about 305 right now. So I would say 350 is a pretty good baseline on roughly where the price action could reject. So just keep that in mind. We've got a good about, maybe say 50 cents more to go without seeing some type of major resistance level. But I would like to mark this here too, because we can see there was a strong resistance here at about, yeah, that's pretty much 350. If you look right here, this line, 350, let's just go ahead and use that. So we'll go with 350. So $3.50 is a major resistance here for CeeLo. Looking at the RSI, excuse me, we are looking at above 50. So if you're not familiar with this, RSI over 50 is considered basically a support level. In other words, at 50, that crosses here, this little dotted line, that basically signifies a potential support level. So you can kind of see previously when the price is below, it's rejected, it's considered resistance, and when it's above, it's considered support. So the good news is, price should continue to go upwards. If the RSI starts trailing off, that'll work as a support and keep it above. Again, hypothetically, that is an option. Also note too that we have July 25th as a major convergence. That was, 2 or 3 days after Bitcoin jumped up over 30,000. So no surprise there. CeeLo's been making steady improvements here. Moving on to the 4-hour, let's go ahead and take a look at the SMA lines. As we can see, the 50 is working as a major support right now at about $3. So that could hopefully keep the price working upwards. And as you can still see here as well, it's working as a pretty strong support the entire way. So CeeLo has a good support with the 50 right now. RSI is up over 50 as well. And if we can see here, we're looking at a convergence coming as well for the MACD. So if we can get the price action to continue sideways or upwards, we'll have a convergence here on the 4-hour chart, which is something that's really good to note. Oftentimes I like to mark this and kind of see where the 1-hour chart coincides with the Ishimoku cloud. And we'll take a look at that here next, but again, that's a really good sign of the fact that we might have a convergence occurring on CeeLo on the 4-hour chart, which is a good strong indication to go long and that it might break out soon. Now looking at here the 1-hour chart, let's go ahead and turn off the SMA lines. In fact, let's go ahead and enable the Ishimoku cloud and kind of see. Now we're still underneath the cloud, so it is traditionally considered a no buy zone, but you can tell it's trying to break above. So if we can get this to just kind of go sideways for a little bit longer, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 hours more, we'll be above the cloud if we just get sideways action. That would be an indication of a buy signal, basically just meaning that we are in a position to consider a long potential swing trade. So this is starting to shape up to be pretty good. I'm going to keep a close eye on it and see if it breaks through the cloud. If it does, might be a good consideration for a long position. RSI is creeping up over 50, but great news is it's well under 70, so still plenty of room for growth. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the TD sequential as well. It'll probably just be, just as I figured, we're going to have basically 3 more hours. Again, potentially. This is not foolproof, but the TD sequential kind of gives us an indication of the fact that we could see a good 3, maybe 5 more hours worth of continuation on this bullish pattern. So what we could see is the price continue upward and then maybe retrace. As long as we're making higher highs and higher lows, we're in good shape. But right now, it's kind of in a state of consolidation. Even though, yes, it's having these little peaks and valleys, it's mostly going sideways, and we're getting a lot of resets on the TD sequential. So it basically just means that we have some more room for growth, right? So hopefully we're going to see a breakout, especially with that convergence on the MACD. We could see another one of these here. Again, if Bitcoin is able to go sideways and or get back up over 45,000, I think we're going to see some really good movement here from CeeLo. So looking at the 15, let's go ahead and just see if we can identify a good entry point. Because a lot of times when you're looking at these charts here, the 15-minute chart is the best chart to kind of finish with. In other words, we identify that we have a potential convergence on the MACD on the 4-hour chart. We're still under the cloud, but we could potentially consider entry based on specific metrics. In other words, do we have confirmation above EMA and VWAP? Now right here you can see we got the VWAP line, the price is coming back above VWAP. That's fantastic. And VWAP is the volume weighted average price, takes the volume last 24 hours, expresses it as a price. And volume is a very underrated metric. And in this circumstance here, if we look at it, we can see the price is above, so it's considered a support level now, okay? When it comes to the EMA, we got the EMA 15 here. The price is considered to be bullish right now, because as you can see, it's coming up. It tested EMA, but it's holding above. So we are looking at a pretty strong little bull run here. There's a good chance we'll see how this continue. So it wouldn't be a terrible idea to consider either adding to your position if you have one, or possibly just consider, seeing how things go, of course. But to me, there is still some room for growth here. But this is a good consideration for an entry. In other words, we can see we've got confirmation above EMA and VWAP. So these two here are basically telling us we've got full confirmation, knowing that the price is heading in the right direction, right? Now, how much longer it'll go up, continue to go up, it's hard to say specifically. It is a little bit on the overextended side, but not terrible, because if you look at the 4-hour chart here, you can see RSI is still pretty low, so still much more room for growth. Even on the 1-hour chart, it's still well under 70. So again, this could continue up. I mean, if you saw this last little run here where we got the indication of a buy signal, and then it shot all the way up to about 340, the RSI barely peaked up over 70. So that's the great thing about CeeLo being kind of undervalued right now. It's got a lot more room for growth. So all in all, I think CeeLo looks pretty good. I would say my prediction is that 350 will probably be tested in the near future, as long as Bitcoin can get a little bit of a pump, right? If we can get Bitcoin back to just say 45,000 or 45,005, start trending towards 46,000. CeeLo is going to probably take off, because as you can see, that's what it did last time. Excuse me, that's what it did last time right here when the price ramped up on, what was it, the 9th? That was 3 days ago. That's when Bitcoin shot up to about 46,000 for one of its first times. Okay, so if we can get that again here from CeeLo, we're going to see some really good things. So all in all, I got some good hopes for CeeLo. I'm going to pay attention to the MACD and see if we get a convergence. If we do, that'd be a good consideration for a long position. Preferably, we get the Ishimoku cloud up above, the price over the cloud on the 1-hour chart, and we'll be home free here. So CeeLo is looking pretty good. This might be a good consideration for an entry. So if you found benefit from this, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, of course. Thank you so much to my patrons for reaching out, asking that I cover this here today. Definitely appreciate you always making recommendations, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you and make sure that we all learn and grow together, and this is the way that we do it. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next one. Take care.